Hey everybody, good afternoon and welcome to Belterra Park. My name is Ashley Holiday. I am joined by our track announcer and he likes to call me his handicapping superior, but I would definitely say he would like to call me his handicapping superior, but I would like to say that definitely he is my handicapping superior, and I've really had a great time here every Friday with Ed. We look forward to you guys watching us every week. We got a great race card today.
We do.
8 races total. 3 of those are going to be on the turf. We're going to finish out with a nice turf sprint today, so very exciting races on tap. It's a little chillier today than normal, but the sun is out, which makes it really nice. I was actually worried we'd be pretty cold today. It's about 59 right now in the Cincinnati area. Should be about 62, 63 by the time we kick off the first race, so very exciting.
Not only is the check in the mail for Call Me a handicapping anything besides doofus, but Superior is beautiful. But now you're a meteorologist. I absolutely love it. We are fast and firm today, and the turf rails are set at 0. Mostly sunny, and it's now 68. Hence the fancy shades here. It is sunny. It's beautiful. Not a cloud in the sky. We get 8 live races, 3 turf races, as Ashley said. She's pulling the cart here today. I'm just along for the ride. It has been a pleasure all meet long, and we're going to do our final seminar next Friday. And Ashley, we got a little bit of difference of a change here, so people can plan ahead.
Yes, we do. So next week we are going to race Tuesday through Friday at 1:20 p.m. So instead of our regularly scheduled 12:35 post, we're going to push it back a little bit and start at 1:20 p.m. that week only, and then we're going to come back the following Monday and Tuesday at 12:35 to close out the rest of our meet.
Sounds like a winner to me. I mean, but you couldn't ask for a better day today. We also have some programs down here. If you're just joining us, please feel free to come down and grab one, or you can wait till the end, come down and say hello to us. We'd love to say hello. And we're going to kick it off. We got 8 great races here. Ashley, I'll tell you what, I think there's going to be some difference in our opinion today.
There could be, Ed, there could be. In the first race, we're going to kick it off. It's a beaten claiming for $5,000. Horses that have non-won 3 races in the last 6 months or 4 races lifetime. We do have a scratch of the 1, Devilish Tail, so that's going to take our 5-horse field down to a 4-horse field. So for me in here, I'm going to go 4, 3, 2. What I like about these 3 horses is that they are all consistent runners. You can take a peek at their past performance. They run pretty regularly, and all of these horses are very comfortable here at Belterra Park. So those things definitely take into consideration. I'm going to talk mostly about the 4, which is my top choice in here. That's Toast to Rodney, Jamie Grubb's trainer. We've talked about Jamie Grubb's on the show multiple times about how ready her horses are when they do hit the racetrack. And we're going to talk about Ronnie Betancourt, who I believe had 2 wins on yesterday's card.
Ronnie Betancourt, that was the day before.
Was the day before? Okay.
Before. We had John McKee and David Howdar had 2 winners yesterday.
Oh, okay, very good.
And if I missed on Mr. Betancourt, I do apologize. You could be right. I'm leaning more towards now she probably is right. But in fact, I know
I could be wrong. The days do seem to run together a little bit here. The racing, it happens so fast. In a very good way. In a very good way. Things happen so quick on a racetrack. It seems like you turn around and we're racing again. So for me, I really like the 4, Toast to Rodney. I talked about Jamie Grubbs, Ronnie Betancourt, how well he's been doing here. Let's talk about the horse a little bit. 2 back-to-back victories here at Belterra Park, running in this similar 5 furlong to 6 furlong distance. Did take a shot a few starts back in the 12-5 claimers. I think maybe just a little bit stiffer competition. Back down in the 5,000 the last couple starts and was victorious. I also like the 3 Drink. The distance for me is a little bit of the question. They've used this horse shorter distance more often, or I'm sorry, a longer distance more often. Today he's going to go a little bit shorter. Could be a well-needed change. Jeff Greenhill, Tiago Canuto, both of those, very good combination here. And then I'm going to use Celtic Mischief for 3rd here.
And you talk about Jeff Greenhill. I believe he had a dead heat, and he was 1st and 2nd.
Yes. How does that happen? I'm glad you mentioned that actually, because so rare, right?
When you touch on Jeff Greenhill, and going to that mile to the sprint should give you no cold chills down the arm whatsoever. Jeff is an incredible horseman indeed. And yesterday, not only a winner wouldn't do, but he had the dead heat and take both halves.
Absolutely, right? I mean, leave a little something for everybody else, Jeff. No, just kidding.
Jeff took it all, and he definitely deserved it all yesterday.
100%.
In today's first race, I like the 5, 3, and the 2. I love El Bohemio, the 5. David Haldar, been doing very well, winning 13% of the time here at Belterra Park. Now, this 5-year-old got a son of flat out is 1 for 1 here at Belterra Park. They're going to go route to a sprint. They're doing that same Jeff Greenhill angle here, but this is Jesus Esquivel, the trainer, winning 23% of the time, going to a route to a sprint. They score 31%. I really like that. Shipping in from Indy, and a lot of the Indiana runners as well as Churchill runners coming from other places, they seem to really come in and relish the Belterra Park surface, and also already 1 for 1, 9 for 10 in the money at the distance. Haldar, 2 wins yesterday, doing really, really well. I like the route to the sprint, a 31% trainer. That's really important to me here. I think El Bohemio is going to be as tough as they come. I do go to the Jeff Greenhill runner. Drink for second, Tiago Canuto, Jeff Greenhill, 3 for 6 in the money at Belterra Park. And then I end up with number 2 to end up my try, and that is Celtic Mischief, and that's David Cook and Mr. John McKee, and there's boatloads of speed there.
Absolutely. So we're definitely different in the first race, so we'll see how we shape out through the rest of the day. Moving on to race 2, this is a maiden special weight, 5.5 on the dirt. This is for fillies and mares, and they're going to go 5.5 furlongs, as I said. Ed, for me, here in race 2, I'm going to go 3, 2, 4. We do have 2 first-time starters in here. I always like to pay attention to those. I am not a big first-time starter. I don't usually use the first-time starters, but I am going to use one today on the bottom of my ticket here, just because I really like the bullet work on September the 7th for Fiona. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But for me, I'm going to be 3, 2, 4 in race 2. I like the 3, very wealthy on top in here. Mostly running at Churchill, like we talked about, over at Ellis and in Horseshoe, Indianapolis. Did run here last time out in the maiden special weight, going 5 furlongs. Finished 4th, beaten 4.5 lengths. I think just kind of getting used to this surface. I'm going to think today a little more experience, going to be a little bit better today. So I'm going to use the 3 on top. I'm going to use the 2 Wildcat Dream, John McKee, 4 Ramon Salcedo, owner trainer. A horse that raced here last 2 starts here at Belterra Park. Did have a second in its most recent start. And then for third, I'm going to use the 4 Fiona. This is the first time starter I was talking about saying I was going to use on the bottom of my ticket. I do like the work on September the 7th. Did have a bullet work here, working 4 furlongs, so definitely has some speed. So I'd be interested to see how the race is going to shape up for her today.
Agreed, that is a solid work. We're very close in this race here. I'm going to go 3, 2, and 1. I think you touched about on everything with very wealthy. Ellis to Indy to here to Belterra Park, I think, and we're going to make the 5 furlongs on the turf back to 5.5 on good old Mother Nature dirt. The dam of this runner, class above, has 9 starters, 6 wins, and a stakes winner, and she herself was a stakes winner. I really like where it's going here. Isaiah Cialabor for Ted Lucas here, returning to the dirt and going from turf to dirt. Ted Lucas wins 23% of the time. I like the numbers there. I think you brought up just about everything there. I like Wildcat Dream for second by Wildcat Red, who wins 19% with his first time out. But if you take a look, there's been 13 times this 3-year-old filly has, it's taken her a while. I won't call her professional maiden. I think possibly today could be the day. You have John McKee aboard, taking off Jose Bracho, moving to John McKee, who's absolutely been red hot. And then I end up right on the rail with Hattie M, and the rail is winning 20% of the time. So for me, in today's second, 3, 2, and 1.
The rail has been red hot.
It's been more than hot. I'll tell you what, especially when you see the turf runners, if you can now, right about this time of the year, speed on the lead is the place to go. And Ronnie Betancourt absolutely put on a clinic the other day and lit up the board. And if you had a $2 on it, you were really happy. 18 to 1. Went flag fall to that saw, got right on the front, opened up by about 2, and just punished them all the way around. They were just seeing heels and hindquarters the entire way. But Ronnie Betancourt got on the lead. So remember that. On the turf, speed on the lead is playing really well this time of year.
And moving on to race 3, we're going to go 1 mile and 16th on the turf. This is our first turf of the day of the 3. This is a maiden claiming 12.5 fillies and mares For me in race 3, I'm going to go 4-3-6. I'm going to use the 4 Gin and Sin. I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to fall on this horse, probably for very similar reasons that I am, right? Let's take a look at the class drop. This horse was racing at Keeneland in April in a maiden special weight for $100,000. Then running at Churchill for a maiden claiming $75,000, $50,000, $20,000, down today at Belterra Park for the 12.5. So again, taking a considerable class drop, going to be running against much easier company than has in the past. And we've seen these horses from Churchill, from Ellis, from Indiana come here, do really well. So for me, Victor LeBron aboard for trainer Dennis Robertson. I'm the 4 Gin and Sin all day on top. And then I like the 3 Arista the Cat. For me, this horse, they're going to try her long on the turf, take a little shot here. I applaud that decision, and I'm curious to see how it works out. I do like the horse in this group here. David Halder, who we talked about, has been really, really sharp lately. Going to be on this horse for Rebecca Johnston. I'm going to give it a good second place call. And then for third, I'm going to go down to the 6 Enchanting Lucille. Perry Oots, I never leave him off a ticket. Very rarely do I. This horse, I think, needed to find a little easier company that here at Belterra lately than it was facing over at Indiana. So I'm going to use it for third today. So for me in race 3, I'm going to go 4-3-6 using Gin and Sin on top.
A digressive note, I was coming through the jocks room on the way in, and I saw Perry Oots. He's always here really early, and he was a man of very few words all the time, but even more so today. I said, good morning, Perry. Hello. And moved right on. I think he's ready to get back into it. He took a couple days off for a vacation. Sometimes it takes a little bit of action to kind of get back in the saddle. I think today Perry Oots is going to knock on the door here, and especially when he teams up with his man Larry Smith. But that's just a note to keep in your top pocket here. In today's third, I go 4, 5, and 6. I like Gin and Sin as well. Second time off of a layoff coming in from Churchill Downs, and I think this is going to play out very well, going 7 furlongs to a mile and a 16th on the turf. And the dam, Spoken, has 9 starters, 6 winners, 2 of which are on the turf. She was a winner herself. By Rassant d'Etat, I really like the second off the layoff and the drop in class where Dennis Robertson wins 25% of the time. My top pick there. Then I go to Toil, and that's Doug Cowan's for the PTK LLC, which Dane Kabisky used to train for them, and really, really nice runners over the years. And I'm looking for nothing but even more from Doug Cowens. He's winning 28% of the meet, dropping down in class there, but coming off a 6-month layoff, so you might get a little better price than you think. And then I end up with the 6, and that is Enchanting Lucille. That's a closer for Aaron West, coming in, usually runs at Indiana. He's here at Belterra, and every time he's here, you better pay attention.
Very good. Moving on into race 4, we're going to go back on the dirt, 1 mile. Starter optional claiming for a $12,500 tag. For me in race 4, I'm going to go 5-2-3. I'm going to use the 5. Come see about it on top. We just talked about it a second ago, right? The dynamic duo here, Perry Oots, Larry Smith. How can you more often than not, you can't beat them. So, if you can't beat them, join them, put them on top. So that's what I'm going to do. So for me, the 5, come see about it. Back-to-back victories here at Belterra Park, going this mile 70 distance. Obviously handles this very comfortably. I like the Equibase comments. Last time out, led, lasted. The time before that, track 3 wide, cleared. Much the best in here to me. Huge standout. This horse, 6 for 11 in the winner's circle this season. 9 of those 11 starts hit the board, no worse than third. All day I'm on come see about it. Then I'm going to go to the 2 Flat Fun. This is another ultra consistent horse here, right? 3 for 7 in the winner's circle, 6 out of 7 hit the board. Bounces around between 3/4 to a mile. Had a nice second place finish with Luis Reyes in the irons last time out. He's going to get the call again today for trainer Jimmy Dillon. Going to use that one for second. Then for third, we're going to round out with Kentucky Cool, Eddie Fernandez, trainer John McKee in the irons. John McKee's been super hot lately. I like the call. Eddie putting John up on this horse today. So for me, 5-2-3. Come see about it on top.
I might have fibbed a little bit. Maybe we're a little closer than I originally thought. But I think we're seeing the same things here. The 5, come see about it. Larry Smith and Perry Oots. I call it the Larry and Perry Express. And there's usually a gentleman right up here in the stands every time they go to the winner's circle.
Oh, yeah.
Larry and Perry. They're winning 38% of the time and shooting for 3 in a row. 13 for 14 in money lifetime here at Belterra Park. I'm going to call that a horse for a course for sure here. And this 4-year-old will get us on a great art, looks the part. You know, Perry back off the vacation. I think he's a couple days off. It takes a couple days to kind of get back in the groove here, and I think he's going to find it the same level as last time out and was a winner that day. Once again, looking for 3 in a row, so my top pick is the 5. Come see about it. And then I answer right back with Flat Fun, and if you take a look who he ran second to, he ran second to Come See About It. So we're taking the same exact to their 5-2, and then I go right to the rail, Danville with Ronnie Bedencourt for Francisco Ramos. Now here's a little tidbit for you. These guys are great exotic combo tandem here. They're 55% in the money when they get their act together and they head on down to the paddock as a team. 55% in the money. Ronnie Bedencourt's doing very well, and Francisco Ramos when he's 17%, 2 for 3 in the money. For me, it's 5-2-1 in today's 4th.
Moving on into race 5, this is another mile on the dirt. It's a claiming 8 down to 7,500. This is for 3 and up. Now, Ed, I'm 3-1-2 in here. Are you close?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! See, way closer than we thought. I will say I'm
spoke
quite.
Too soon.
I had a good time last Friday with. Oh my gosh! Now I have a bee flying on me, and I'm terrified of bees. So pardon me if I go running around like a crazy person. It's circling me.
He's
like,
not bothering me, so
oh
evidently
look,
I'm not sweet enough for his
now
taste.
Now he's under the table trying to get my legs. Oh, this little yellow jacket. This is not your show, okay?
Get out of here.
Anyways,
bud.
I had a great time with Marty McGee last week. Came out
Yes.
the handicapping seminar. So much fun. I feel like I learned a lot. I definitely got some schooling like I knew that I would. But truthfully, it was a great time. But Ed, it's so good to be back here with you today.
In fact, it's an honor. I've enjoyed this more than you'll ever know. This is the best day of the week. It's Friday, and we get to handicap together and have a whole lot of fun, and hopefully impart some handicapping wisdom and a few selections out there for our guests that are just arriving. Maybe we're making their homework a little bit lighter than they actually have to come in. But, you know, before we go any further, you know, you were with Marty last week, and I saw something. It popped up in the program about 3 times. It was MTO. And we were talking about MTOs, and I thought maybe you'd like to better explain that.
Yeah, so when someone enters a horse MTO, it's going to be they're entering it. So MTO stands for main track only. Main track only. So whenever you see a horse is going to show up as an MTO, it's only going to be in a turf race. Now that means that horse only wants to run, so he'll be on the also eligibles. He only wants to run if that race should come off the turf and then move to the main track. So it's a good gamble, because if you have a horse that you know is fits those conditions and is really like a dirt runner, is good at that distance, and you think like maybe the weather's not going to be that great or whatever sort of situation, you take a shot at it. And we have seen some horses enter MTO and then it does move to the main track and they find themselves victorious. So it doesn't happen super often, but when it does come up, it's just a little bit of information that you now have. So
I like that, and there's some crafty horsemen out there that, in fact, when they enter, they're entering 72 hours out.
Yes.
And in fact, they might take a peeky at the old weather report and say, well, there's a possibility of a little rain, maybe a little sogginess, and we might
quite a few scratches
Yeah,
could
exactly.
happen. We know when they come off the turf and we move over to the dirt, we usually get a considerable number of scratches. So you might find yourself in an ideal condition, less entries to race against, and on the ideal surface. So it's kind of a gamble, but it's a good play.
Well, thanks for bringing that one up about the MTOs. A lot of people, when I first started handicapping, I had a lot of questions, but in fact, there wasn't a lot of people that you could ask. You could ask some old-time handicappers, and I was lucky enough. I had a bevy that I could just hang around with, and I had a lot of questions. I had more questions than answers, and I really find it helpful that when you talk about all meet long, you talked about horse equipment, what's happening down in the paddock, and especially just MTOs today.
Right. Anytime that there's, random tidbits of information that we can share with people just to make things a little bit, less confusing, give them a little more knowledge that they can then, look when they're looking through their programs and their past performances, make notes of certain things and definitely maybe impact in a positive way your handicapping game. So it's always fun to share. In the 5th race, I said I was 3-1-2. You said you were similar. I'm going to put Storm Risk on top in here. Luan Machado today for owner-trainer Travis Short, coming fresh off a claim. I do like how this horse raced earlier in the year. We're talking January, February season. Did have some three wins in a row. 2 of those were ridden by our very own Sonny Leone. And today, Luan Machado is going to be in the irons on Storm Risk. I think fits well in this class. Obviously, is comfortable running this distance. I do like picking horses when they come off of a claim. Obviously, there was something that they saw in that horse that they wanted, so they have maybe some kind of game plan already in motion for me. So I usually do try to take a horse, first time off a claim. So that's what we're going to do today. And then I'm going to use the 1, Cacahuete. David Haldar for trainer Jesus Esquivel. I like this horse a lot. Fresh off a win by 3.5. I love the Equibase comment. Stalked, roused, held. Definitely fits in well with this group. 9 to 5 morning line, so clearly, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of price on this horse, so I'm gonna use it for a second. And then for third, I'm going to go to the 2, Easy Doer, Perry Oots for trainer RC Sturgeon. I think fits in well with this kind of class. Should have no problem going a mile. Has been going a mile on the turf. Going to move today to the dirt. So does have a couple. I think has a win already this season here, and did have a second with Perry Oots in the iron. Perry is the typical jockey for this horse, so he's going to get back on today. 3-1-2 for me in race 5.
I had a good buddy that said if you're going to bet him, you got to box him, because I go 1, 3, and 2 here. I'm going to go with the 1, Cacahuete. The speed on the rails, winning 20% of the time. Looking for 2 in a row in a bit of a horse for course. 7 for 11 lifetime over the Belterra Park surface. Last time out was an impressive winner. And as the comment line says, stalked, roused, and held sway. Win by 3.5 lengths under David Haldar that day. Haldar and trainer Jesus Esquivel, who's winning 23% in his own right, they get their picture taken 35%, 70% of the money. So Cacahuete is my top pick. And then I go right to the 3, Storm Risk, and number 2, Easy Doer. As before we go on to the final pick 3, you've been kind of a busy gal as of late. You've been kind of here, there, and everywhere.
That's typically me. That's just how I operate. I always have a lot going on. I like to stay busy. I love everything about horse racing. So yeah, I was away a couple of days last week. I actually went back to outriding for a little bit. I put the outriding title back behind my name for a few days, and I feel very honored. I got to ride the Little Brown Jug in Delaware, Ohio. And as a Ohioan lifetime, I have lived a little bit of everywhere, but I was born in Ohio. My family is from Ohio, so for me to ride one of the harness racing's, richest days, richest weeks, with all the grandeur of the whole thing, I feel very honored. This was my second year back there, and I really enjoyed it. I rode 98 races in 5 days, so I was a little bit tired. I left there Thursday night and got back Friday morning and came here and did the handicapping show with Marty, and it was great. I'm very lucky, and I'm very fortunate to get to do so many different things in horse racing. Obviously today, I'm a handicapper here at a thoroughbred track, getting to do what I love. This is my day in and day out job, and I'm just very fortunate that I still get to enjoy outriding a little bit on the side.
And your father was a daggone good driver as well. As I started off as a very young lad. That's how my dad got to get out of the house. He'd take me along, and I got to see all the great harness racing action at Lebanon, Old Latonia Racecourse, which became Turfway Park. And I remember your father driving and your better half. He's quite the driver as well.
Well, thank you, and I am surrounded by horse racing day in, day out. I eat, sleep, breathe it. I tell everybody it's literally one of the greatest things in my life, and I don't know what I would do if I was not involved in horse racing. And it's actually pretty cool. You talked about my dad. My dad's still driving, and he actually had a couple winners Little Brown Jug week, and it was actually his birthday, so it was pretty cool. I got to get to sit down and hang out with my dad for a little bit. So definitely was a great week.
Very good, very cool. I love that.
So moving on into race 6, we've got another maiden special weight. We're going to go a mile on the turf. Love the turf races. This will be our second of the day. This is for maidens, fillies, and mares. For me, in race 6, we're going to go a mile. For me, I'm going to go right to the I'm going to go 6-8-2. I'm going to use the 6 spurt. John McKee aboard. John McKee has had a great week so far. Was it yesterday we talked about he had 4 wins on the day yesterday?
He had 2 wins yesterday. McKee had 2 wins, and David Haldar.
Okay, very good. So John McKee's had a really hot week. For me, I'm going to think he's going to just stay just as hot. I'm going to use Spurt on top in here for trainer Thomas Drury. John McKee, Tommy Drury, very good combination. A third place finish last time out here, only beaten 2 3/4 of a length. I think going to get the advantage on the horses in this group today, and I'm expecting, third start off a little bit of a layoff, and for me that's always something to pay attention to. And I know, we're seeing kind of a line. He did race on the 25th of August. We're now September 30th. To me, for a thoroughbred, that's not really much of a break. So I'm gonna call that time from March to July his break. So I'm gonna treat this as a third start, kind of off a layoff angle for me, but should be much the best in here. And then I'm gonna use the 8 Bikini 4-second, coming in for the Rodolphe Brisset stable. Alex Achard gonna be up today. This horse was racing at Indiana for most of its career. Did race here last time out at Belterra Park on the turf, going 5/8. They're going to go a mile today. This horse has run a mile a couple of times in its life, so should not be too much of an issue. I like the turf going a mile today angle, so very interesting for me. And then I'm going to use the 2 Gabardine, Luis Reyes up for trainer Robert Medina. Now this one, they're going to race with blinkers on this time out, so definitely something to pay attention to. They're going to add blinkers to the 2. Definitely going to, we've talked about blinkers before and what those are going to do, dial the horse in a little bit.
And it's going to give a little more speed, does it not?
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
And there's already plenty of speed involved there.
So it's a good play. Good.
Oh, it's a strong play, but this is where we kind of differ a bit. You went 6-8-2. I'm going to go 3-6-1. Let's take a look at number 3, Glamorous Days. A lot of speed. This is a 3-year-old filly by Ghost Zapper. And there's something called what I'm looking at is the Sire Produce Index. And it's 1.00 is a national average. Anything above that, first-time starters out on the turf. The Ghost Zappers, they win 2.26, so that's actually double the national average here. Showed a little bit of speed, was off for quite a bit of a time there. 9 months, I believe, if I have it correctly there. This is second time Lasix. I think that's going to help the cause here. Had the lead under Luan Machado, who's aboard today, for Shug McGahey. Yes, Shug McGahey. You usually see him in bigger races. You'll see him in New York. You'll see him everywhere. You'll see him on Derby Day. But today, you get to see his runner here at Belterra Park. I see Glamorous Days jumping out, grabbing lead. And the dam has 4 winners from 7 starters. And she was a stakes winner herself. That was Life at 10 by Malibu Moon. I see first time on the grass, the McGahey barn wins 12% of the time. Second time, Lasix, 19%. So I like the Aqueduct at Belterra. This is second time off of Lasix. Big move for me. I like Glamorous Days. I have a lot of respect for your 6 Spurt. Tommy Drury and John McKee, they're winning 42% of the time the last couple months together. Third off the layoff. Tom Drury is one incredible horseman, and he's teaming up with a powerhouse rider here. Third off the layoff, they score 26% of the time, and Spurt will be coming down the lane. And then I drop right over to the rail. That is Marina's Gold, Raylu Gutierrez, who had a winner yesterday, and right at the skinny shadow of the wire, got right up by a dirty nose. But I'll tell you what, got down low for the dough and got right up at the wire.
You have the best lines. I'm just telling you, I pick up a lot of good lines here.
A misspent youth.
Oh, my goodness. All right, going to go back on the dirt course. A mile 70 is a beaten claiming for $5,000. For me, in race 7, I'm going to go 158. I'm going to use the 1 Brody the Oxman on top in here. Standout reason why. Going to take a little bit of a class drop. This mile 70. Very comfortable. This is this horse's specialty. Luis Reyes going to ride today. David Holdar usually gets the call on this horse. Luis Reyes is going to ride this one today. David Holdar is going to be on a different one in here. But for me, this horse definitely with the red hot rail we've talked about. Luis Reyes going to ride for Carlos Lopez. I'm going to say with a little bit of the clash drop here in a distance that he's comfortable with. This horse has been racing ultra consistently. Should be 100% fit and in the best form. So I'm going to use him on top. For second, I'm going to go with the 5 Jurisdiction. This is a horse going to did take a shot at the 10 claimers over at Churchill Downs. on the 21st of September. Back here a week later at Belterra Park. Going to be much more comfortable with this group of horses, I think. What I like is Victor LeBron went to Churchill to ride this horse and is back in the irons today for trainer Jerome Miller. Again, this distance, this horse is very comfortable running here, a mile 70. Should not be an issue. Going to use it for second. And then for third, I'm going to go down to Market Development. This horse had a very impressive victory. 3 starts back, actually ended up DQ'd. Down place second, but it technically has won 3 races here already this season, even though he did have that DQ. But Abel Lascano going to be back in the irons for trainer owner William R. Edwards. So for me in race 7, I'm going to go 1, 5, 8.
I'm going to go 5, 4, and 1. I like jurisdiction here. Victor LeBron, and you touched on a real hot angle here. He went down to Churchill, so they thought something of this 5-year-old get a son of commissioner. Back here to Belterra Park, and as you've mentioned in the past, a little bit of class relief, dropping down 2 class levels, 1 for 1 in the money here at Belterra Park. LeBron stays aboard, and I think he's going to be picking him up and laying him down. If you take a look at that second race back on August 23rd, he was really angled out, and as the comment line says, late run. I went back and watched it. I love to watch the replays, and jurisdiction really kind of caught my eye for Jerome Miller. 3 starts from a small sampling, 2 seconds and a first. I think today he actually makes his way to the winner's circle. And then I go with a speedy funny bone for Doug Cowens, Luau Machado for PTK LLC. I see a whole lot of speed here. And I'll tell you what, if this 4-year-old colt by Dominus gets on top, catch him if he can. He might be able to put the lights out really quick. And then I'm going to go with a closer, that is Brody the Oxman on the red hot rail, which is winning 20% of the time.
That rail,
I love it.
It is sharp right now. Final race is going to be a 5/8 sprint on the turf. Starter optional claiming for that $12,500 tag. In race 8, Ed, I'm going to go 289. 289, I'm going to use a 2. One of my favorite horses here right now this season, KW Captain Hook. Perry Utes in the iron for Larry Smith. No need to talk about that combination. We've done it enough. 4 for 10 in the winner's circle. It's going to be 8 for 10 on the board this season. So I'm going to use that one on top. Not going to talk about it too much. Then I'm going to use the 8, L's Big Secret, for second. This one is 9 for 10 on the board, 3 for 10 in the winner's circle. Did have that nice win by 4 3/4 with Isaias Ayala in the irons. He's going to ride again today. And then for third, I'm going to use the 9, Chief How Come, John McKee aboard for trainer Dan Sanner. This horse did have a victory last time out, was a winner by a neck, made a 3-wide run, held on per the Equibase comments, so always pay attention to those. So for me in race 8, I'm going to go 2, 8, 9.
In today's 8th and final race, we have a few scratches. Scratch to 4, Artemis Eagle. Scratch to 5, Cut Glass. And scratch number 6, Amani's Kitten. A rider change on the 1, and you're going to have to pronounce that one for me. Foosh.
Foosh? Yeah, Foosh. That's
Foosh.
how I would say
Alvin
it.
Jimenez aboard. Alvin Jimenez in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see him everywhere from Churchill to Monmouth. You name it, he goes. This guy can flat out ride. I believe he was making his way into the jocks room as I was walking out there. I really like, I'm going to go 2, 1, and 3. You said it all about KW Captain Hook. We got the Larry and Perry tandem 38% of the time, and you will hear that gentleman up in the stands, Larry and Perry, because he's a big fan. And you know what? We love to hear that, and he really cheers them on. 5.5 back to 5 furlongs on the turf. I think that's a big move here. And the Dam has 7 starts, 6 wins, 2 of which are turf winners here. That's my top pick. Then I go back to the rail. Foosh. The rail winning 20% of the time. Alvin Jimenez, actually, that might be a real sticky wicket for me. I might be using Alvin Jimenez just as much as the 2. The rider alone moves up quite a bit. And then I end up with Dragon Drew, and you got Susan Anderson and the hot Ronnie Betancourt, who's been doing very well as of late.
Absolutely. I like the 3 Dragon Drew. I've used that horse quite a few times this season. Didn't use him this race, but I like the horse, and I respect those opinions.
All.
I know. You can't use them every time. I know. One thing we did talk about a little bit, you did touch on watching the replays of horses. So one thing I do want to comment, anybody at home that wants to check out replays, go to our YouTube, go onto YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel, Belterra Park Replays, and we put every race, every day, just about 5 or 10 minutes after the race goes official. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. So you can always go back and check out some of these races on these horses, and you might see something that you like that you didn't notice on paper. So always you have that at your availability. So.
And you know, if they miss our handicapping seminar, just to test our mettle and see where we're at, they can always go back and
They can.
And you know, they can take a peek at us, say, how did they do? And that's on YouTube as well.
It is. So always. And so one more note I want to make before that we leave is we do mention that we will be back here next week. I think we're going to come on about 12:35, 12:45 next week for our final handicapping seminar of the season, because we are going to start, as we mentioned before, at 1:20 next week, Tuesday through Friday, 3rd through the 7th, 1:20 p.m. right here at Belterra Park.
Tuesday, October 4th through Friday, October 7th, 1:20 post time. We'll be here on Friday. We'll be wrapping it up for the end of the season here. We're climbing to this final few days. We're going to start crying if we talk about it too much. There's 8 great races, 3 on the turf. It's a glorious day, not a cloud in the sky. Ashley, you send us off with some great words of wisdom.
Well, my words of wisdom are get out here before the season's over and take a peek at these horses live if you haven't been here yet. Beautiful weather today. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck.
Best of luck.